Hey, what's going on, folks? How are we doing tonight? How are you?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. Getting it. We're. I don't know about you. This is one of my favorite times of year. You got the home stretch of baseball season. You got football in full swing. You're only a couple of weeks in, but we're in full swing, college and pro and high school. Hockey is in preseason right now. NBA is in preseason. NASCAR is in the playoffs. I mean, everything is going on all at the same time. My favorite time of the year, sports wise. I don't know about you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like whenever it's weird. Like this feeling right now is a lot different than say June and May and June. Whenever basketball and hockey are winding down because you're only stuck with baseball for almost 2 months. Even though
And even as
football still runs the airwaves, but it's not the same. You're not getting action. You're just getting movement, free agency, and all that. But like you just said, everything's in full swing right now. Everything's a go. You can pretty much see whatever you want. You can also catch on Sundays now. Chris Boswell kicking 6 field goals, and
whatever it takes, man.
I get it, but we still can't be doing this every week. We're not going to win every game on six get.
Okay, I get that, but there's a few other underlying things to all of that too, because I saw a quarterback who made some plays, including one that got called back on an absolutely bogus call, but made some really nice plays, did not make any stupid ones. And once you got past that first drive with those couple of issues on the center quarterback exchange, once you got past that, I thought that he ran that offense very well. Did they punch it in? No. Okay, that's fine. You still won the game. The defense is the defense. And we all know that defense is as solid as it comes. And if Highsmith and Watt and Hayward and those guys and Minka and those guys can stay healthy, then the Steelers defense is going to be fine. And they're going to stop more people than not. But, the offense will come. Don't anybody start flipping out. Don't anybody start thinking that the minute Russ is healthy, he's going in. Because if Fields keeps doing what he's doing, again, this week it's Denver. This past week it was Atlanta, who is a decent team. They're not good. Denver is not good. Let's be perfectly honest. TJ Watt is going to be inside Bo Nix's jersey, and we'll get into that a little later on in the show. But no questions asked. If Fields is not making mistakes and improving himself, Russ may never see the field in a Steelers uniform.
I everyone knows I'm not a big Russell Wilson fan. I'm a fan, but I'm not going to go out and get his jersey. I've just never been a fan of the guy. I just haven't. And it's nothing against him. I just haven't. There's just some guys, you could just never be a fan of.
Sure.
And now he's here and I have to act like, okay, cool, backup quarterback, cool. Um, but I'm not
Hey, I
excited.
went I went on the air on my show in Waco, Texas at that point in time when Justin Fields got drafted. And I said that Justin Fields would be the worst quarterback out of that draft. Said it on the air, no questions asked, that tens of thousands of people listening. Do I still believe that? No, because you got some guy named Trubisky who's an absolutely garbage dumpster fire. Is he going to be Pat Mahomes? No, he's not going to be Mahomes. But can he make it a serviceable career with the right team? And a lot of people don't understand that the deal with Fields, with all the changes, offensive coordinator and coaches and quarterback coaches and all that kind of jazz, it's no wonder Chicago can't get a quarterback. You're changing coordinators, you're changing systems like we change socks, and you can't get any continuity in there. That's one of the biggest things that makes teams successful is that continuity, not only within the players, but in the coaching staff at the same time. So you're not having to learn a new offense every time you turn around. Look at Peyton Manning when he was with the Colts. Had the same OC for what, 15 years? Elway in Denver. Eli with the Giants had the same OC for 10 years. You're not changing systems all the time. Hopefully, Arthur Smith does with this offense what he did with the offense previously in his career, makes it click like he did in Tennessee, and he'll be around for a while, and hopefully Fields will be too.
So I was reading something by Leanne. I forget her last name, but she wrote that she felt that Tomlin was still in full control of that offense with how conservative it was being, because he knows that he can keep it a close game because of the defense.
Well,
I
it's
don't know if
hard
you
to
got.
say that.
I don't know if you got.
It's hard to say that though, Adam, because we all know what he did. Arthur Smith did last year in Atlanta, and he was calling the plays there. He had, and this was the part that I did not understand. He had a thoroughbred in his backfield and wasn't using him the first half of the season at all. I don't understand why Bijan Robinson was not getting shoved down people's throats from day one. But be that as it is, he's a conservative play caller.
Well, he was
So
a
would
rookie.
Tomlin.
He was a
Huh?
rookie. He was a rookie.
He was. But the Giants ran Saquon down people's throats. The Cowboys ran Ezekiel Elliott down people's throats. The Titans ran Derrick Henry down people's throats. There's no reason why Bijan shouldn't have had minimum 20 carries a game for the course of the season. I have to look it up and see. I don't think he broke. If he broke 200 carries, it wasn't by much. Is it Tomlin still calling the plays? Is it Arthur Smith? I think it's very tough to find a difference in the two. The one thing that I did notice, though, and you and I talked about this last week, and you especially brought this up. What was Pickens going to be able to do? How was Pickens going to be able to deal with coverages and things like that? I thought Pickens had a good day. Did he put up 150 yards? No. Did he catch 10 balls? No. But was he getting open? Yeah. I thought he did a nice job of getting open. I thought Allen Robinson's got to catch the freaking ball. He had 2 or 3 really easy first downs that he just didn't catch the ball. And
You wanted to know a stat real quick. He had 214 carries.
Okay. So barely broke 200. But
and he had 56 receptions.
Okay. He's not Bijan is not going to be Austin Eckler. He's not one of those guys that you're going to throw the ball 5, 6, 7 times a game. He's just not. He's not going to be that dual threat Christian McCaffrey 120 yards rushing and another 75 or 80 receiving. That's not his game. He'll catch a few balls. He's probably good for 3 or 4 catches a game.
480
and then carrying
receiving last year.
Say again?
487 yards receiving.
Oh, he'll generate yards. When he catches the ball, he'll generate yards. But you figure 487, 16 games, that's what, 30 yards a game. It's about right for Bijan. He'll probably end up between 30 and 50. But he should be averaging 100 yards a game. He should be averaging between 80 and 100 yards a game. No questions asked. And I'm sure that we're going to see that this year out of that offense. But when you sit and look at
we see what we saw in game 1 there from Atlanta the rest of the year, they could be in a world of shit.
Well, okay, but let's be perfectly honest and lay all our cards on the table. How many defenses this season are they going to play that's like the Steelers defense? Not to mention the fact that was a road game for the Falcons. That crowd was easily half Steelers, maybe more.
I agree with that. Even we talked about that with Allison. what, 2 weeks ago now,
Mhm.
or last week.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers, when you think about teams that travel well, it starts with Pittsburgh. Green Bay travels great. The Raiders travel great. I'll admit it. Even the Cowgirls travel great.
I say
Um,
they had a nice following. They had a nice crowd. You really got to see that in that fourth quarter because I was talking to someone that was at that game, and she said there was I guess they call it a third quarter walkout if the team's doing really bad, and like pretty much the whole stadium leaves.
well, this is a whole nother thing, and I haven't had a chance to talk with one of our colleagues, Evan, about what he thinks about this whole thing. You and I have talked about contracts in the past, and I think the dumbest thing that was ever created was the guaranteed contract. And Deshaun Watson is the poster boy for that reason. He has no reason to get better. He's got 240 million bucks sitting in his bank account that he hasn't had to earn one drop of it. Signed the
Except
contract, they gave him the entire thing guaranteed. He could sit there and hold a clipboard or the Surface or whatever they're doing nowadays, and he got 240 mil in the bank.
right,
Okay. What motivation does he have to be better? The long-term contract and the fully guaranteed contract are two of the absolute worst things that's ever happened in the world of sports. I've been on record with that for years. I'll stand by it forever because it limits your ability to have people forced to produce. Watched it in Dallas. Zeke signed his deal, did nothing after that. Tank Lawrence signs his deal. Tank Lawrence signs his deal. 3 weeks later, goes in and has back surgery.
okay,
Amari Cooper signed his deal and was absolute garbage. Ends up getting traded to Cleveland. The list goes on and on. I'm interested to see what happens with Dak. You know, I the long-term fully guaranteed or largely guaranteed deals, people just don't care anymore. The players get their money and they don't care.
right. They can get hurt and not have any issues.
That's true. But you also have to look at the fact that you know what you're getting into when you sign up for this. There is a possibility you're going to get hurt. I always use the NASCAR analogy. There is that possibility you get behind the wheel of that car, you might die behind the wheel of that car. It used to be a part of racing. It hasn't happened in a long time. Knock on wood, it's not going to happen ever again. But in football, it's not a contact sport. It's a collision sport, just like hockey. You're going to have guys get hurt. The fact that they've got and one of our Steelers, now I'll remember the lineman's name in a minute, but that protective covering for the helmet, I think it's a great idea. If they want to wear it, fabulous. If you don't, that's great too. All your call.
I think I was watching a little short, and I think Travis Kelsey had it on, and he said he felt like the little kid from Little Giants.
Maybe so, but if it makes you feel more comfortable and safer out there on the field, and if it prevents you from having a concussion or hurting your neck, who am I to say something bad about it? You know, I'm not again, and that's one thing I get into arguments with people about. I'm not against safety. I'm against safety for stupidity's sake and for the tearing up of a game. Look, baseball, and I'm sure we'll get into the Pirates here in a minute. Great game today, by the way, by the Buccos. But when you look at what baseball is, and they were talking about this whole thing, There's only going to be 3 or 4 pitchers go over 200 innings this year in Major League Baseball. Sandy Koufax in 1968, he threw 337 innings. You know how many surgeries Sandy Koufax had on his arm? 1 at the end of his career. That's what killed his career. That's it. 1. Bob Gibson, arguably the most dominant pitcher of his time. Know how many surgeries he had on his arm? 0. You know how many Nolan Ryan had? 0. Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens. Let's start the list. And they're pitching 200, 250, 275 innings. They're throwing 7, 8, 9 innings every single time they go out there on 4 days rest. It's not like these guys pitching once a week.
They don't live on precision anymore. They live on, everyone wants to live on the fastball and then that massive hook that's killing arms left and right. That's what they're looking for. And I don't know where analytics comes in on that and says, hey, this is what worked. And this is what's killing arms and costing a lot of people's careers.
Greg Maddux never threw a ball over 95 miles an hour. Never threw one over 95. Never had an arm issue. Is arguably, and is, in my opinion, the best pitcher of a generation, and could set up the old hockey all-star festivity of the little plates that they would put up and shoot at the plates. You could put those up for Greg Maddux and say, okay, hit here. He's going to hit it. Hit here. He's going to hit it. Why? Because he had control of his pitches. You're exactly right. The control of these guys don't know where they're throwing. You can tell from the catcher. I caught for 26 years. I knew where my pitcher was throwing. I guarantee you, if you ask any major league catcher who is going to be honest with you, I would bet at least half of the pitches, even though he's calling the pitch, half the pitches he has no idea where it's going. Just from the way you see him backhanding balls and going, it's insane. It really, honest to goodness, is. It is absolutely insane. And the umpires aren't helping the cause. But the simple fact that these guys are not precision throw, they're more, like you said, they're more concerned about the fastball, more concerned about the rev rate and the spin rate on these curveballs and all that. Okay, whatever.
Oh, I hear you. I mean, I caught too, but I mean, I only caught in little league because I'm left-handed. So, and I didn't go on very far, but I got a catcher's glove and I said I'm playing catcher. That's what I did. I threw a couple guys out at third because I could throw behind the right-handed batter.
Sure.
It was awesome. I loved it.
Like, there are perks to a left-handed catcher.
Right. I was able to kick out with the right leg and kick behind the batter and throw at a better line.
Well, and also when there's a play at the plate, you get the ball a little bit faster because you're at the proper angle and your glove hand is further out toward the field. So you gain a couple of feet on those throws and get the ball in your glove quicker to make the tag. Like I said, there are benefits to a left-handed catcher. Just like a left-handed first baseman. There are benefits to the lefty instead of the righty.
Also a lot of missed benefits.
Say again?
There's a lot of unbenefits too.
Like, that is true too.
Like throwing back to the pitcher, you're like, please be a left-handed batter so I can just throw normal. Instead of every pitch having to step out, throw to the pitcher, step back in. So yeah, I mean, you talk about the perks and everything else, and that's that.
Yeah, but I mean, you hear people talk about unbreakable records. Any pitching record in baseball that's out there is never going to be smelled ever again. 383 strikeouts from Nolan Ryan will never be even. There will be guys this year that won't even break 200. The leader in strikeouts this year is not going to be that much over 200. and
Oh,
Ryan had double that. You got guys that are, 25 wins. Heck, 20 wins for that matter. How many 20-game winners do you think we're going to have this year in Major League Baseball? I'd be willing to bet you there ain't any. The current wins leader in Major League Baseball, Seth Lugo, Tarek Skobel, and Chris Sale have 16. And they probably have 3 or 4 starts each left. We're not going to have a 20-game winner in Major League Baseball this year. 300 wins for a career? Come on. That's another one. We're not going to get to these things. Forget the records. The standards are not going to be there. I
here's
mean,
an awesome
when you
stat.
when you
We've
say
only
again?
had we've had 3 pitchers pitch 2 complete games, and that's it.
Yeah.
Max Bride, Guzman, and Sanchez.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a weird stat to me.
Well, look, you want another weird one? Check this out. There are 3, count them, 3 active pitchers in Major League Baseball with over 200 wins. 200. Care to name them?
No, but we do have 4 pitchers over 200 strikeouts.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
But
Chris
Verlander, Scherzer, and Kershaw are over 200. Next on the list, former Bucko Garrett Cole at 151. He ain't gonna smell 200 wins. There's only 2, 4, 6, 8. No, scratch that. 2, 4, 5. 5 pitchers between 125 and 151 wins right now for their career in baseball. 5. They're 33, 38, 37, 40, 35 years of age.
Yeah, that's unreal.
I mean, I straight don't understand. There are only 20 guys with more than 100 wins for their career in Major League Baseball right this second. 20. That's
But
not one per team.
like we were talking about, Rich, like the same thing as football. These main guys are guaranteed money. They
Right.
don't. It doesn't even sound like they're really after any of these records.
Which
Like
is
they got,
why I said long-term contracts are part of the big problem. Yeah, you're right.
so Rich, without cheating, without looking, or maybe you already did, but can you name any of those 4 pitchers over 200 strikeouts?
4 pitchers over 200 strikeouts this year.
Yeah.
Let's see. Probably
1 started tonight, so there might be 5. I think he started tonight. I'm not sure. So there might be 5.
let's see. Let me think on this for a second. I'm wanting to say there's a Seattle pitcher, but that's probably not right. Let's go Zach Wheeler.
If he started tonight, Rich, and he got 1, he would be at 200. He's at 199.
Okay. Let's go.
I would have guessed 2 of them out of the 4.
Um, does Dylan Cease have 200?
Yes, the ex Guardian, ex Tribe. Yes, 205. He's number 4.
Framber Valdez.
Negative. Hey, if any of the listeners out there want to get involved in this, you can come check out the YouTube channel, Driving to the Top
Yeah.
Production, and jump on there, leave some comments, and see what you got to say. I know we don't have as many as normal. We had some distractions this week in the car ride. So we lost the channel, guys. Sorry about that. But you're more than welcome. Of all the viewers that are on there right now, welcome to come over to the channel. Definitely leave your comments. Let us know if you got any guesses. I know we were going to talk Steelers, but obviously we jumped right into it as
So
usual.
we've got Cease and Wheeler. We got three more.
Wheeler's
Nobody in
only.
Florida. Well, doesn't he pitch tonight though?
I thought he did. I don't know.
Um, let's see. It's not going to be anybody on the Mets. Does
No,
Cole
but
have? No, Cole doesn't have 200. Because he didn't. He
no,
didn't even start until
one
August.
person probably has a
Uh,
lot of people frustrated.
say again.
The guy in first place on this probably has a lot of people frustrated from where he came from.
Has a lot of people frustrated where he came from.
You're digging deep. I see those wheels turning, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not Cole. Um, it's not Verlander. Um, there's nobody on the Yankees that would have 200. Um,
Actually, three-fourths of this list is kind of like in the north, in that middle division.
in what?
The middle division, the central.
In the Central? Does Bybee of Cleveland have 200?
No,
I figured he
no,
might be close.
very, very frustrating to Rich. Can't figure it out. Like I said, I would have guessed
Emma
two. I would have guessed two of the police.
Imanaga, well, Imanaga doesn't have 200. Skeens isn't at 200 yet. So we can forget that one. St. Louis doesn't have anybody that would be there. Is Corbin Burns at 200?
No,
Um, Peralta's been hurt, so it wouldn't be him. That pretty much takes care of the National League Central. There's nobody on Cincinnati that's got it. Is there? AL Central, Bieber's been hurt. Bybee's the only one for the Indians that I could even think would be close. Seth Lugo?
no, no. He was the leader in the innings pitch, though, I believe.
Yeah, I know he's one of the leaders in wins. I wasn't sure if he was at 200 or not. So that takes care of Kansas City because Cole Reagans was hurt for a chunk of the year, so it wouldn't be him. Pablo Lopez?
No, oh, it is Cole Reagan.
It is Reagans?
Yeah, he got 211.
Even with being hurt part of the year. But yeah, and yes, we are frustrated in Texas that he's not there anymore.
I'm looking right at the MLB stat. I went under strikeouts. It says 211.
Wow, okay. Okay, so Reagan Cease. We're giving honorable mention to Wheeler.
Yeah,
Um
honorable.
we already hit Minnesota, Kansas City. Crochet doesn't have 200, does he?
Close. He got 191.
Okay. Um, Guardians, Twins, Royals, White Sox. Who in the world am I forgetting in that division?
Scuba.
Huh?
Skubal. Detroit.
Scooble. Okay. Yeah.
So back to who is number one, Rich? Who is number one?
And it's up north.
No, that one is not up north. That one is down in the lower half.
Max Fried.
No. Why would Max Fried have his ex-town completely pissed off?
It's not a Ranger pitcher. I know that. His former team would be.
The fan base would.
That was why I thought Dylan Cease. That's why I said him in the beginning when you said that.
I'm sure Cleveland fans were disappointed he left, for sure. I was. But I mean, it's free agent.
No, he was a White Sox.
How about Chris Sale?
Okay. I completely forgot about Chris Sale.
So Dylan Cease was an Indian too.
Yeah, that's true, because he was there the same time that Kluber was there, right? They had him and Kluber and Bieber that one year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you talk about a guy that came to the Rangers and absolutely wet the bed. That's Corey Kluber.
I don't know what happened to that guy.
I do. He got hurt, and his attitude got the best of him. He walked in. I know this from happening with the Rangers. Walked into spring training, and he was telling the Rangers coaching staff how he was going to take care of his spring training. Okay. So, he does his thing in spring training, all that kind of stuff. He pitches exactly 1/3 of an inning opening day. Blows his elbow, has to have Tommy John. 1/3 of one inning. Had never had an injury his whole career.
It's okay.
Goes out.
Just like an Aaron Rodgers.
1/3. Yeah. Well, no. Because, see, using that comparison, the Achilles injury, you can never see that coming. You can almost never see that coming. Tommy John, if you don't get yourself ready in spring training, something's going to happen. Something's going to give.
Right.
So, but no, I don't know why I completely forgot about Chris Sale, because, man, when he was good, when he was hot, forget it. You couldn't touch him with a boat oar.
When he's healthy.
When he's healthy.
Right.
But yeah, when he's healthy and when he's on, forget it. You're just not. He just is ridiculous. And being as tall as he is, and as lanky as he is, and being left-handed, it's almost like taking the next step up from Randy Johnson. He just didn't throw 104 like Randy Johnson did. But my gosh, I completely forgot about Chris Sale. I really did.
I thought you would have. I thought that was a dead giveaway. X fans would be pissed.
Well, and like I said, that's why I said Dylan Cease, because I'm sure those White Sox fans, especially because that's where he was most recently, were mad when he left to go to San Diego. But
he wasn't.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He was only there a year, wasn't he?
Chicago?
No, Cease.
That's what I mean. In Chicago?
Yeah.
I
didn't think he was there that long.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he was only there a couple of years, but he was lights out when he was there. No, he was in Chicago 5 years. He was never with the Indians.
Good story.
Came up in 2019. 4-7, 5-4. Then he goes 13-7, 14-8. And then 2023 he went 7-9.
Why
And then
why did I think he was on the Indians?
mm-mm. Nope, I'm
Brain
looking at Baseball Reference.
brain fart. Sorry guys. My bad. Misinformation. Sorry.
But yeah, and then this year he's 12-11. But he's durable. I mean, 165 innings, 184 innings, 177 last year, and 170 so far this year. So he'll probably end up about 190, maybe 195. But you know, and if I remember right, he's a free agent at the end of this year. I think they only signed him to a 1-year deal.
Oh, he's gonna go get paid somewhere.
Probably. Because one thing that will definitely get you paid in Major League Baseball right now is durability. I
Right.
mean, look at some of these guys that are still around or that have been around for a while. Why do you think it's so valuable for Philly to have Nola and Zach Wheeler? Especially Ranger Suarez too, but especially Wheeler and Nola. They're durable. They don't miss starts. They don't spend time on the injured list. They're not having surgeries and that kind of stuff. They're reliable guys. They're there every fifth day, every sixth day, and there you go.
Doesn't Billy have 4 good pitchers? 2 Sanchez's?
Yeah, they have one in the bullpen.
I thought he was a starter. See, a spot starter maybe.
Well, you got Ranger Suarez, and then you've got Chris Sanchez. By the way, Wheeler struck out 9 tonight.
So he's over 200.
Yeah, but yeah, you have Ranger Suarez, and then they have a I think he's a reliever. Yeah, a reliever named Sanchez, Christopher Sanchez.
All right, should we get
But
back to football for a minute, Rich, or do you want to stay on baseball?
dude, we can go wherever you want to go, man.
It don't matter to me. I'm just, you know, we just got the football logo up in the field with people waving their terrible towels, and we're talking baseball. Might be turning up.
Hey, it's like I always tell folks in the description when I post this thing on social media. We know where we're starting. God knows where we're going to finish. Because we've ended up in some really weird spots with our conversation at the end of the week.
Right? Which isn't a bad thing. We are talking sports. Obviously, we're trying to stay on topic, but we're once we get off into the loop, we're off in the loop. It takes us a while to
Yeah,
get back to the full loop.
but we do make full circle out of it. So
So, Rich,
we're
while
pretty
we're on
good at
baseball,
that.
let's tell our fans what happened today at the baseball game because I honestly have not seen it or heard or watched. I have been
Well,
out.
another victory for the old Buccos, a 3-1 win over the Miami Marlins, a no hitter for Bailey Falter through 7 1/3. Pitched tremendously well, or I'm sorry, through 7. Ended up going 7 1/3, struck out 5. I told you a while ago that I think that he could be a consistent piece to this pitching rotation, and he's showing that. He's 8-7 on the year, but he's had a couple of tough luck losses on there. Triolo hit a bomb in the I believe it was the second inning. Pirates scored twice in the first, once in the third, or once in the second. Reynolds with 2 hits, Nick Gonzalez with 2 hits, and Triolo with 2 hits. A really, really good day for the Pirates. Their 70th win. The Pirates also have now swept the season series from the Marlins. It is the first time they have swept the season series longer than 7 games in franchise history.
I guess.
So there is
Small
that going.
steps. I guess small steps there, buddy.
Well, it is, but I mean, I also look at the fact that they're 70 and 76 right now. So, and you and I talked about records and all that kind of stuff. And I realized that to get to 500, they've got to go 11 and 5. 11 and 5 is not insane. We're not asking them to go 16 and 0. But, with what they've got left, they've got 3 with Philly. Or I'm sorry, scratch that. Back up. My bad. They've got 3 with Kansas City coming up this weekend at home. Go to Kansas City for 4. Go to
Have they announced the pitching for that yet? Or are we facing
for the week
Are we
for the
are we,
weekend, you mean? For the weekend, it's Ortiz, Keller, and Jones.
okay? Who's Kansas City throwing?
We don't know for Friday. Waka and Singer on Saturday and Sunday. Very winnable games, all 3.
Well, Kansas City's still playing.
I understand, but they're still winnable games.
Winnable, Rich.
You got 4. You got 4 at St. Louis. Skeens starting that series. You're going Skeens, Falter, Ortiz, and Keller. 3 on the road against Cincinnati. Jones, Skeens, and Falter. Then you come back for your final 3 at home against Milwaukee, who's going to have the division will be wrapped up long before that. And then they close out at Yankee Stadium. Can they go 11 and 5 with this? Maybe. They can.
Maybe.
Will they?
I am not putting it. No.
I'm not saying that they are, but let's for argument's sake say they go 8 and 8. Let's say they go 8 and 8.
That'd be 78 and
78 and 82 and 84. Is that a? I mean, to me, that's an improvement.
I guess. I don't know. Playoffs is what I look forward to. Regular season means nothing to me.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but
I mean, I preach this all the time when we're talking about that guy that coaches in the field behind us.
In the Pirates' case, baby steps. You're making an improvement over last year. If I remember correctly, they won 72 last year?
Let me take a graph. Or are you looking it up?
2020. I got it. 2023 Pirates record. 76 and 86.
I was gonna say I think we went 76 last
year. I think they do better than that. I really do. I think that they go. I think personally they can go 9 and 7 in this run. And if they finish 79 and 83, looking at what they've got for next year, when you already know walking in, and I got to double check Falter's contract status, but I think they signed him to a 2-year deal. I think. If you're walking into next year, Skeens, Jones, Keller, Falter, Ortiz as your front 5, you could do a hell of a lot worse. And that's definitely not the front 5 they had at the beginning of this season. When you were throwing Martin Perez out there and you were throwing this guy and that guy and the other guy, none of that's going to be happening anymore.
I said Skeens should have been here since day 1.
I still agree with them giving him time in AAA. I still agree with that. I will stand by that forever.
I agree, but I really knew that he was ready to be here. He did not need.
He may have been ready, but they needed to give him time down there. But if they walk into next season with that as their front five, okay, as far, they've got guys in the minors right now that are probably going to work themselves into the bullpen and things like that for next year. I don't have an issue with keeping Holderman. I think Holderman is fine as that seventh or eighth inning guy. Don't want him as my closer. But if I can have him as my seventh or eighth inning guy, I'm happy. As far as I'm concerned, every other position in that bullpen is wide open. In the field, you want to keep Bart. You definitely want Bart as your starting catcher next year, don't you?
Who?
Joey Bart.
If he's ready, yeah.
He's been doing great so far. I mean, I leave him there. Leave him behind the plate. At third is your question mark. Third is one of your
Henry
two
Davis.
main questions. At third?
No, I mean, what do you do with him? He's a first round pick. He's not panning out. It's time to ship.
I put him in right field,
They
and
tried that experiment though.
huh?
They already tried that experiment.
Either that or play him at first.
I mean, you have to figure
The-
also this concussions last year, right?
no, you didn't see the story today.
Rich, no, I was paying attention to football. I was not watching baseball.
My bad. Hutch hit his 20th home run of the season the other day. And he said, as long as he isn't embarrassing himself or the team, he wants to come back for one more year. The guy hit 20 bombs this year. How many Pirates have got 20 homers?
I just thought he was calling it.
No, he's looking at one more year. And he's
Okay.
second on the team in homers behind Reynolds.
I have no problem with Kutch. I don't.
I don't either. He's hitting 240, 20 homers, 50 RBI in 109 games. So, I've got no problems with that. And you can use him in a bunch of different places. But the easiest transition for a catcher out of the catcher position is first base. So if you're going to try something else with Henry Davis before you ship him out, try him at first. See what he does there. I like Gonzalez at second. I like Izzy at short. I know you're not a big fan of him, but I like Triolo at third.
I've always been a fan of Trillo.
I'm kidding.
I think that's why we don't get. I think that's why Mike McHenry don't come back on the show.
Well,
not to be rude towards Mike or anything, but we got into a heavy discussion because I said Trillo is going to be our starting second baseman at the beginning of the season. He's like, no, it's going to be Gonzalez. And I was like, no, it's going to be Trillo.
I think Triolo is a third baseman. And if you've got Triolo and Izzy and Gonzalez, huh?
What do they do with Hayes?
He's got to get healthy first, man. He's got to prove to me that he's healthy. I think that back is messed up, and I don't know that it's going to get better. So until I know that it's better, I don't know that I have a spot for him. I just don't, because he can't swing.
They're not going to let that money sit on the bench.
I'd send him somewhere else. I'd try and get a couple of prospects for him, huh?
They're not going to get anything for him.
Do you want to put a statue at third base?
I don't, but it's it's about that money they paid him. They want him. They want him to earn it.
I understand it. And that's why you try to unload him onto somebody else. Let that money go with him. Because he's just until and unless that back gets to 100%, he's not going to help this team one drop. I mean, I don't see a spot for him on this team. I really don't for next year. you're going to run, like I say, you run Triolo, you run Izzy, you run Gonzalez. You have Reynolds in the outfield. I think that's an easy no-brainer.
Right.
Center field, I'm trying to remember this kid's name that's in the minors that is absolutely blowing the doors off everything. Oh shoot.
Taylor
Um,
Hernandez.
no, I no. Oh man. Shoot. I'll think of his name in a minute, but he has just been tearing things up. Um, I think it's in Double A. And looking up the wrong thing. But I mean, they've got a couple of guys down there that are going to come up. Um, Here we go.
You talking about McKinley?
Yes,
Wasn't he
that's
here
the
for?
name, McKinley.
He was here for a couple games, wasn't he?
I believe so.
He got.
But
Didn't he get called?
he
McCutcheon went down. They called him up. I thought.
I believe so. I believe you're right. But he's tearing things up in the minors. So put him in center. Or worst comes to worst, put Reynolds in center. I mean, he can play center.
Yeah. What are you doing with that big guy? Letting him DH.
Cruz can play. He seems like he did okay today. I'd completely forgotten about putting Cruz in center, but put McKinley in right. Put McKinley in right. Put Reynolds in center. Let McCutcheon kind of be that fourth outfielder. Cruz can DH occasionally. McCutcheon can DH. Davis has got to start hitting the ball first. Whether he's catching, playing first in right field, selling popcorn, parking cars, whatever, he's got to start hitting the ball first.
Kind of a kind of a mess.
He's been a disaster.
I don't know how they judge first round picks, but I didn't feel that was one of them.
Well, it was definitely a first round pick. I'm not saying it was a good one. And that's one of the things about Major League Baseball. I mean, first round picks, you go into football, basketball, hockey, you expect first round picks to be starters day one. With the way that baseball works, you have more later round picks turn into stars than you do early round picks. For every Paul Skeens or Wyatt Langford or somebody like that, you've got a Andrew McCutcheon or a Mike Trout or a Mike Piazza or somebody like that gets drafted back and deep. It's kind of a crapshoot in Major League Baseball. But excuse me. But the big thing to me is the Pirates are getting to where they have pieces. If they can win 78, 79, maybe 80 games this year, and I know I'm pulling some big hopes to get them to 10 or 11 of these last wins. But if I can get them to that point with what's coming back next year, you got to have a positive outlook on 25. I mean, don't you?
I I guess. I guess. I mean, maybe I don't even know. Like, I mean, Rich. Every year I go into this thinking, we got a chance. I really do. And then reality sets in, and I'm like, oh, sucks. It hurts.
Well,
I mean, I wear Pirates every day, whether I want to or not. I wear Pirates every day. I'm taking that with me in that casket that I go in when I die.
yeah.
You know, there's only certain things that I'm taking with me, and that's for sure, and that's my tattoos and me.
Yeah. No, and
So
I'm a Pirates guy. I'm a Pirates guy, tried and true. And win, lose or draw. Pirates were playing the Rangers, and that's the only time I don't pull for the Rangers is when they play the Pirates. But it used to be a thing down here, and it's the same way that it has been for a long time in Pittsburgh. That's great, but can he pitch? Because he didn't have anybody that could pitch. Now the Pirates may have to win a lot of games next year. 4-3, 3-2, 3-1, 4-1, that kind of thing. They may have to win a lot of games that way,
the back
but
end
they'll
of this,
be able to.
the back end of this bullpen's still a major question mark.
It is, and that's why I say outside of Holderman, every other position in that bullpen is wide open. Bring people in, whatever. Bring people up, bring people in, whatever. That includes the closer. Holderman stays. Outside of that, everybody else can go. They've got to get that bullpen. But if they can get 6, arguably 7 out of Skeens and Jones and Keller every game, which they can.
They won't.
If they can get 6 or 7 out of those guys every start, get 6 or 7 out of Falter can go that long.
I know, but they're gonna pull them. This is just what this goes back to that conversation we had. Feels like many days ago about pitchers going deep. We just talked about that. There's
Yeah,
5 pitchers over. There's 3 pitchers over 200 innings.
right.
It's ridiculous. I
That's
remember,
where
like,
we also have to, but that's where we've got to look at, like you just said, improving that bullpen. Because if we can make it where the starter is consistently solid for the
what do you
first
do?
6,
Are they going to keep Dela Cruz? Isn't he under contract for 2 years still?
I'd keep him.
I mean, isn't he still under contract till 26?
I believe you're right. I think either 25 or 26, but he's still under contract. Yeah.
So I mean, he's going to be an outfielder.
Yeah. But again, he's got to start hitting too.
Oh,
He's
it's awful. Like they come here and they just fall flat on their face. Like they went from the worst team to the second worst team, including the White Sox.
well, you have to the Pirates have to take the outlook of what the Kansas City Royals did in what was it, 15 and 16 or 14 and 15, where they got it to where their starting pitching would get them 6. No questions asked, 6 innings every night, every guy. When you got to that bullpen, it was over. You weren't getting squat 7, 8, and 9. And they ended up winning a ton of games. They didn't have the biggest names in the world. They didn't have a bunch of superstars that they were paying $30, $40 million a year and all that kind of garbage.
No, they're
But
one of
they
the.
had the right.
They're one of the few that work.
It can work.
Right, but they're one of the few teams that ever actually did work.
Right, but the Pirates have the foundation of that type of team right now. Starting pitching, they have. The foundation of a batting order, they have, with the exception of one major stick. They need a power stick. And I'm not talking about Tellez. They need a guy that's going to hit 30 bombs, drive in 100, and call it good. And then they need that bullpen. The bullpen has got to be their number one priority. Because if they can get that bullpen straight, like I say, they may have to win games 4-3, 3-1, 2-1, 1-0. Doesn't matter. Like today, they win 3-1. A win is a win is a win. Doesn't matter if you win 27-1 or 4-1 or 2-1. A win is a win. So,
Right.
it doesn't matter if they've got 57 major hitters. They need to have that pitching in there. And pitching is what's going to be what pushes Pittsburgh through that glass ceiling and into a playoff contending team for hopefully for next year.
Hopefully. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk Pirates again. You know,
I would be, and I wouldn't be having huge expectations for next year, but would I have expectations of 83 to 85 wins? Sure.
we'll see what happens. I'm not looking
83 to
forward.
85. Well, but 83 to 85 wins in the National League contends you for a wild card spot.
True. Very true. Very true. All right. So, Rich, what were your thoughts on the game on Sunday in Atlanta?
I was impressed with the defense. I thought the defense played spectacularly. Boz was Boz. I'm not a fan of the punting game.
Oh, we lost our
The off, we need to get another one. I wasn't ever a fan of Percy Harvin. I sure as heck wasn't a fan of this guy that they brought in. Um, I thought the line, the offensive line did okay. They'll get better as they play together, as long as they can stay healthy. Najee seemed to have a little bit more fire in his step. Whether he was running straight, making cut, it seemed like he was more crisp than what he has been the last couple of years. Um, a lot more fine with what he was doing, a lot more technical, if that makes any sense. The other part of that is, I like I said a little while ago, I was happy with Justin Fields. Um, I thought he did a nice job of making sure to not make mistakes, not do things that were going to cost the Steelers turnovers, that were going to cost them the game, and did exactly that. They did a nice job. 17 of 23 for 156 yards. Um, Obviously, no touchdowns, no picks, but he got the ball spread around. He hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different receivers. And by the way, at least 2 of those incompletions were drops from Van Jefferson. I said Allen Robinson earlier. I was mistaken. It's Van Jefferson. Um, his top 2 targets were exactly who we thought they were going to be, Pickens and Freiermuth. I thought all around it was a very well played game. And if they play games like this all season long, I think they're going to win a hell of a lot more than they lose. What'd you think?
Well, what did I think? Um, I didn't get to see much of it. I listened to it on the radio. Obviously, fantasy football runs the day on Sundays. So I drove around listening to the Sirius. Every time the Steelers scored, obviously, I don't know if you listened to the Red, whatever that channel 88 on Sirius. I don't know if you listened to it or not, but
I
I didn't
have.
hear any of and I didn't hear any of the Steelers score because if you listen to it, you know that they cut out right after third down, and then they fill you in if they made the field goal or
Right.
not. So I did get to see a couple of the defensive plays. Elliott and Johnson both had picks. Great opening debut for the free agency signings. So that was key. Minka was kind of quiet. He only got me 4.5 fantasy points, but whatever. Maybe, but
He
maybe
did lead
down
the team in
there.
tackles.
Oh, maybe. Oh, I was gonna say maybe they're gonna let him go back to where he was in 2022 before they made him whatever they did to him last year,
Yeah.
where he's more of a actual player than just focal point.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I didn't like how the referee blew the Watt fumble, and then, but at least they admitted it after the game. That was a little different.
Yeah, but it does no good at the time, you know.
Right, right. But they at least admitted it and said, "Okay, we blew that call."
Right, but it's a good thing it didn't cost us the game.
That is very true
Um,
too.
and it wasn't the only call that they blew. There was a PI call on Pickens that was absolutely 100% bogus. Um, they said that he pushed off on the DB, and there's not a chance. And a pass that Fields absolutely dropped into a bucket right into Pickens' hands.
I've always liked Fields. I'm gonna see what he does this week in the high altitude. I'm sure that always plays into a lot of what's going on in Denver is the altitude. Do you remember when Ryan Clark couldn't play because of the sickle cell? Well,
Right.
he could have played, but Tomlin and the coaches sat him out, which is I felt that was a smart move. Maybe not the best move, but a smart move. Um,
Yeah, when you start playing with health issues because of certain things, you can't take, health too lightly. So, yeah, I mean, that was a joint agreement on that deal.
um, I think we're gonna see a real good corner and a really good wide receiver going one on one. I don't know if this kid they just signed today is gonna play this weekend or not. What was the name? Deon or I don't know, but he's 6'5", 213 pounds. They just signed him. He was an undrafted rookie last year. He played for Denver for a little bit. Hasn't caught a ball yet. Got drafted by the Saints actually. Got cut. And I don't know if they signed the other two cornerbacks they brought in. They brought in a linebacker too, I believe. I don't know if they signed those three, but I know they signed the wide receiver. I can't remember his name. I read it today and I couldn't remember. I can remember his height and size, but I can't remember his damn name.
Yeah, that's
But
why I'm looking to see.
it's on Steeler Wire or Steeler Depot.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I'm just seeing through yesterday, Shaquan Davis
Saquon
it
Davis.
was
That's
put on the he was put on the practice squad.
all they didn't.
They released Marcus Haynes. They did claim Terrell Edmonds off of waivers for what that's worth. And they also activated Ben Skowronek. Don't know if you remember him from the Rams. He was their number 3 for quite a while there behind Puka and Cooper Cup. Wore 18 if I remember right. But made a lot of third down catches and that kind of thing for the Rams. So another possession receiver
So
for
was
the
that
Steelers.
Cup and then Von Jefferson and then him?
Say again.
Was it Cup, Von Jefferson, and then this guy you're just talking about?
Um, yeah, until last year, and then last year it was Cup.
Allen,
It was Nakua Cup, Tutu Atwell, and him.
and then Tutu Atwell.
Yeah. Um.
Tutu Atwell, he
So
didn't get the picture till later.
yeah, he didn't come into the picture till later on. But I do like, you know, I think bringing in Edmonds is good for depth. He's not going to start, but I think bringing in Terrell Edmonds is good to have an experienced piece for depth.
Right.
So,
Rich, this has been on my mind all day. I know I don't go
uh,
into the whole political side, but where were you on 9/11? Where were you whenever all this shenanigans went down?
I was a training manager for Pizza Hut, running my own store in Marlin, Texas, and I'm guessing I was on the road driving in when the first one hit because I walked into the restaurant and one of my waitresses was sitting there and we had a TV in the one corner of the dining room. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, man, breaking news, plane hit, all this stuff. And I asked her, I said, what's going on? She said, a plane hit the World Trade Center. What? And about 30 seconds later, the second one.
That was live on TV, the second one.
Say again?
The second one was live on TV.
Yeah.
Like
And
everyone, we all have our own opinions on this, but yes, that was
yeah, and that was really bad. And then I found out about the one in Somerset that was headed to the Pentagon.
that was headed to
Actually,
the White House. That plane was headed to the White House.
or I'm sorry, to the White House.
So
But the
I
it
got my own opinions on that one. Obviously, I was in Pittsburgh at the time, so
well, and see, my mom's best friend lives in Somerset. It crashed on her property.
oh,
So that was, that kind of hit home a little bit.
that
Definitely hit home for my
loud
mom,
away.
but yeah, it crashed on my mom's best friend's property in Somerset.
So did she get memorial rights and all that?
I have no idea. I've never asked.
I don't know how that works because they have that really nice shrine up there, and then now they got the tower built with all the voices or whatever,
Yeah.
and all the trees that are going around, and it's supposed to like act like it's talking to you. I have no idea. I haven't been there, so I just saw pictures of it today.
I haven't either. I haven't been to any of the memorials for that. I want to eventually. Um, but it definitely, it changed a lot of things. We discussed even opening that day because it happened first thing in the morning, you know. And we were talking about, do we want to open, do we not open? And we decided to open simply as a place for people to come and talk. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, I had a busier lunch that day in the dining room than I had had in weeks, mainly because people were coming in and just talking about the different things about, the country, uh, the solidarity that this was hopefully going to bring us all to. Um, some of the folks that I was that were coming in that day had family members or loved ones that were in New York, and they weren't sure if they were in the tower, if they were near the tower, if they were involved in it in any way, as far as any residual, incidences or anything like that. They didn't know yet. Stuff like that. So yeah, 9/11 was it was it was definitely a day, um, obviously, that nobody will ever forget. Um, but it was one of those that I don't think any person was affected. It's a lot like a snowflake. No person, no two people were affected the same by it. The really crazy part to it is that it's also 9/11 2020 or 2001 is also the day after my oldest daughter's birthday. My oldest set of twins were born September 10th, 2001.
Well, happy
So you had
birthday!
you had the good and the bad on back-to-back days. So,
Happy birthday!
um, yeah, they turned
Yeah, maybe they're
24 today,
watching. Maybe
23
they're
today.
watching. Maybe she's watching.
Say again?
I said maybe she's watching. Just telling her happy birthday.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Um, but what about you?
I remember I was at my. Well, I lived at home, so I was what 22, 23? No, 22. No, 20. I was Yeah, I was 22 at that time. So I was still living at home. I was still, you know, I worked at the pizza. I worked at a pizza. I still work at a pizza shop. I was at. Well, I didn't know if we were going to open that day or not either. But I was sitting there watching CBS, and And I was just playing on the computer, the old dial-up. We had the AOL, and all that good shit.
Mhm.
I'm just sitting there and I'm watching, and I'm like, plane just go into that building. I didn't know what to think. And I was 22, so I was really hungover that day too. That didn't help. So I'm
Yeah.
watching this. I'm
Uh,
watching this, and I'm watching this and going, you and unfortunately before all that, you hear all these like planes flying into it, not doing anything to it, minimum damage, and I'm like, okay, it's not going to come down because they've been telling us for years that jet fuel not going to burn. It's not going to crack the metal because of how the building is built. And somehow that defied all odds. I didn't, because I think you could handle up to what 18, whatever they measure it at. And that
yeah.
really threw me off watching those two buildings just come down. It was pretty wild. Like, yeah, you see that shit in movies. You see that in movies, like people jumping out the windows just hoping to land on another building to live.
Right.
And then the one that I'm always gonna remember is the guy grabbed the piece of concrete and was riding it down.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that or not.
I
Uh,
do.
I
And
was very
see
I was very confused too. Building 7 came down, and I figured that a lot more buildings would have also collapsed under all the pressure, all the like to watch a whole building come down like Building 7 did. That really threw me off because I didn't understand it. Like nothing happened to that building.
yeah.
Um, but I was watching CBS, KDKA, and I would love to find the opening footage, and maybe even it was your mom's best friend on the CBS report. I remember a woman was out there hanging up clotheslines of clothes because she was. It was a nice day out. I mean, it was like in the 80s,
Mhm. Yeah.
and she said that like first reports were part of the wing came down over there, and then the plane came down over there. And other
Right.
reports were two birds took off straight up in the air and then hit the top of the clouds and they were gone. But that report disappeared. But
Yeah.
eye that was the first eyewitness that they interviewed. So I've always questioned it because of that interview. And if they shot it down, great. I mean, that thing was headed to the White House. They admitted it.
Yeah.
We're talking about where the president is supposed to be staying and everything else. So
Exactly.
I've always I remember that first interview, and I'm always questioning it, like what really happened,
Mhm.
and just like the Pentagon, like I don't understand how someone that doesn't have a pilot license flew a plane above the grass this far and didn't tear up the front tarmac. I have many questions on that one. And another thing, I guess when the president leaves, Marine One is supposed to be parked there, and it wasn't. I don't know. I just find it awkward on those two.
Well,
And then
there's a
it,
lot. Yeah.
because whenever it hits the Pentagon, you're telling me a whole plane just completely disintegrates. Like you saw no plane.
If they design it the right way, yeah, they can.
I don't know. I don't know. I will question many things on that, and that's
They
me. I
have
feel bad for all the families. I feel bad for all the people we lost, and it's a horrible situation to begin with. But
yeah.
there's just a lot of weird questions that follow, and they should have just been truthful about the whole damn thing.
They You're right. There are a ton of questions. There are a ton of to this day, how did this, what did this, that kind of thing. And a lot of it military wise, and I can tell you this as the son of a frogman. special forces in the Navy. These were guys that were before the SEALs. They created the SEALs for guys that couldn't make it in UDT. Um, there's a lot of shit that goes on that nobody knows about and nobody has any clue about. You look at any of the records and that kind of stuff for a lot of the guys, and they're not showing that they were doing, getting downed pilots or doing these other things. They were doing other stuff, these rescue missions and all that kind of stuff. So the people that are building, and it's our side and their side, the people that are building these planes that can absolutely just, like you said, disintegrate on contact, with no sign of the plane. Yeah, that is doable. Um, how it's done, I have no idea. It's government secrets and all that kind of good stuff. But I do know that we, as Pizza Hut at that time, remember the big New Yorker pizza,
Yeah.
that New York style deal? We
Yeah. Yeah.
caught all we caught tons of shit because our box, the front of the box, had the New York City skyline on
Well, it's a New Yorker pizza. What else more do you want?
it. And right, but they weren't allowing us to pull the boxes after this happened. And it was still showing the Twin Towers and this skyline and that kind of deal. And Pizza Hut caught all kinds of hell from all kinds of people. Finally, had to pull the product until we got new boxes, um, because they caught all kinds of political backlash and all kind of,
Would
you
have been like
know,
a been like a momentum. Like I don't know. I like that would have been like a keepsake thing.
yeah. I mean, I probably should have kept a case of them or something like that. But when you sit and think about it at that particular time, you're going, I see their point. Um, yeah, let's go ahead and do what we got to do. And we ended up just discarding them as we got the replacements. Um, so there were a lot of things that got really, really emotional during that time frame. Um, I don't know if you remember even the World Series that year when it was Mets and Yankees, and President Bush throwing out being there and doing all the stuff he did, and all the stuff that the players did for the fire department and the police department and the first responders and all that stuff. It's
Well, yeah, they opened up the field so that they could stay there.
yeah,
They did a lot. They, you know, there were
yeah. I
people. I
mean,
remember there were fire trucks from. I want to say Imperial went. I want to say a lot of places. Obviously, we all know that people responded to that pretty. They all got up and left. They were like, we're going to do what we can."
right. And there were people from all over the country. I mean, there were people that came from Texas, there were people that came from California, from Florida, I mean, you name it. There were people coming to New York to do something to help with this. Um, it's there are those historical things that you're really glad to be a part of, first man walking on the moon or something like that, This is one of those historical things that you hate to have had to have been a part of, but it's also something that makes you realize just how important some people are in this world, and their positions, in their positions, the first responders, I mean, how valuable those type of people are. Whether it's a nurse, whether it's a fireman, a police officer, an EMT, a doctor, or whatever, all those people taking care of all those injured, and it's really, I guess, a reality check is probably the best way to put it. Does that sound about right?
I'm saying a gut check.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All Americans were hurt that day. There was not. I can promise you, there was not one American with blood flowing through their body that didn't feel something that day. That didn't feel, like you said, a punch in the gut or something like that.
I remember when they I don't even know that burnt passport, the passport in magic perfect shape, and they start blaming them. And I don't know if your drivers took any deliveries that day or even at that month. Like if they delivered to someone that was like out of country, like they were scared. They were like, "Oh
We
shit, what
didn't
is?"
de- we didn't deliver at that point in time.
Oh, we did, and we
Um,
had people that were like scared to talk to like us. Like, I mean, they knew that whoever really did this just put a little fire under a lot of people.
yeah, and I mean, we bowled the next night, and there was a whole lot of different variants of emotion. Um, there was a lot of sad, of course, a lot of angry, a lot of confused, um, a lot of just what the hell just happened. Um, even 24, 36 hours after the fact. Um, there was just a lot of what do we do now floating around that building. And it was good that people got together in groups. It was good that people were together. Do you here's a little trivia for you. Do you know what the first mass public event was after 9/11?
Wasn't it the football game?
SmackDown. WWE SmackDown.
Really?
15,000 people in an arena, and Vince McMahon came out and addressed the crowd at the beginning of the show. And if you get a chance to pull, you can pull it up on YouTube. Um, if you weren't ready to run through a wall after, that was better than any halftime coach's speech I ever heard. Um, and it was one of those that it was, we are not afraid. And if you think that you've made us afraid, you're sadly mistaken. In a round of, to soup to nuts kind of thing. And you know, it was just one of those deals that right after that we went back to having the NFL games because if I remember correctly, we missed a week, maybe two actually, and went back to having NFL games. Went back to having of course baseball and the playoffs and the World Series. Um, People started gradually getting back into large groups and getting back into doing things and that sort of stuff. And the fear started dissipating.
I don't think it was fear. I think it was more of like a shock because
Yeah.
everyone always says you're not going to attack us from the outside. We're only going to get beat from the inside.
Yeah.
Like the Japanese didn't try to go to California. Why? Because they know that we have guns, and every civilian has something of a weapon that can protect them. That's why a lot of this hasn't, you know, that's why a lot of
Right.
the people don't attack us.
Right. It it was one of those deals that, and of course, Bush being president at the time and Bush being a Texan. And I will speak about that just simply as, you don't screw with Texans. Our motto, hands down, do not mess with Texas. And we even got to the point where it was do not mess with New York. And that was a lot of what we were, and do not mess with the United States and that kind of deal. There was all that kind of stuff going on around here. Um, I remember it to this day. And that's the one thing. And this is going to sound really weird when I say this. I wish that we had the unity in people that we had right after that happened now. Because really, we don't. If you sit back and really look at society in general, and I realize we're going way off base now, but if you look at society right now, there's not that togetherness and fighting for the same cause and all that kind of stuff that there was right after that day. We were all fighting for each other.
Right. Yeah, that was a rough couple weeks. Because we wanted football, we wanted sports to get our minds off of this.
Right. And we wanted to be able to go do things without the concern of, holy crap, is this person walking in with explosives in their jacket or something like that? It was quite, even after the events started happening again. It took a while before everybody really opened up again. Um, and I think rightfully so, more cautious than scared, just more cautious. But I firmly believe that people were not going to allow them to win. And they didn't.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, that was a rough couple weeks. That we get through it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I don't really. I went to work, but I don't remember if like we all got together and went out that night or not. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I'm trying to remember what. I think I just went home after work. Um, and just watched, the reports on TV and that kind of stuff. I seem to think that that's what's sticking in my head is what I did when I got done. Not a whole hell of a lot to do in Marlin, Texas. Sorry, folks, it's true. Um, but I just, and I don't think anybody was really up for doing much anything at that particular point in time anyway. So if I'd have been in a bigger area like Pittsburgh or Waco or Dallas or something like that, probably would have gone and done something. But Marlin's a very small area. So
I think the weirdest thing was though not seeing any airplanes for like 3 days.
yeah.
I live right next. Like at the time, I lived 5 miles from the airport, so I was
Oh
used.
geez.
And then all of a sudden, you don't hear anything for like 3 days. You're like, the air was clear. They weren't flying. Every once in a while, you'd see like an Apache come flying through and land at the airport because the Air Force Reserve and the Air Force regular units out there. Every once in a while, you see a fighter jet land
Wow.
because we were one of the stops. But that was just weird. That was weird to me.
That would be weird to me too. That would be
So,
really weird to me too.
but Rich, back to football. What is your predictions for next week?
Well, I think the Steelers beat Denver. I think Bo Nix is going to have a whole different um, outlook on the world after he gets done seeing Watt off one side, Highsmith off the other, and Cam Hayward coming up the gut for an hour. I think that he's going to have a really rough rest of the Sunday afternoon. Um, I agree with you. I think the matchup with Sertan and Pickens is going to be very interesting. It's definitely going to be a game where the Steelers are going to need to establish the run and use Freiermuth more because Sertan is going to be able to shut down Pickens to a large degree. He's not going to shut him down all the way, but he's going to contain him. I look at Pittsburgh winning the game probably. I think they punch it in. Let's say 24-10.
I was in a 31-24 game. Um, I do see Denver scoring a late touchdown. Um, but I'm thinking 31-10, 31-7. But that's where I'm at. I'm curious to hear about this Pickens and Surtain matchup. It catches your eye. Every week you get a good matchup.
Sure.
I mean, everyone this week planned on talking about Russell Wilson's return as the starting quarterback. Not gonna happen.
Right. I mean, I will not be the least bit surprised if, barring injury, Russell Wilson does not see the field as the Steelers quarterback.
You've been saying it all along, but before it was week 4.
Well, I stick to my guns. What can I tell you? I really think that when you sit there and you look at what they have coming, um, I say the Steelers, what they're looking at in the next few games. You got the Chargers and then the Colts, and then of course that game against those filthy, nasty, dirty Cowgirls. Um, I I don't see a reason why the Steelers shouldn't be at least 3-1, maybe 4-0 going into that Cowboy game. I don't. There's no excuse for them to not be at least 3-1 going into that game.
If they should punch it in this weekend. So if we see a resurgence, I see no reason why we shouldn't be 3-1.
Right.
Maybe
I
even
mean,
4-0.
could they lose to Indy could they lose to Indy in Indy? I think I think that's a possibility.
Anthony Richardson, I don't understand. He gets clobbered. I mean, clobbered, and no flag. I was and
Yeah.
and when I heard this, I was thinking like if this was Kyler Murray, if this was Joe Burrow, there would have been flags all over the place. But because Richardson, a 6'5", 235, 240-pound quarterback, looks more like a damn lineman, I really believe that's why they didn't throw the flag. And I thought that was ridiculous. I don't care if you're a quarterback and they're trying to protect this league, especially Anthony Richardson, who's a young quarterback and just coming
Right.
off of surgery and coming back. I felt that should have been a flag. They talk about player safety.
Yeah. No, I did too. And I really think that Richardson is a really, really good quarterback. I think he's definitely the best they've had since Andrew Luck. And if he can stay healthy, and if you can keep Taylor and he together for a while, and Michael Pittman, you're going to see some really good things come out of that Colts offense for a very, very long time.
Good two of the wide receivers,
Say
Mitchell
again?
and Pierce. They have two other receivers that are pretty damn good, Mitchell and Pierce.
Yeah,
Mitch-
Adonai Mitchell, he's out of the University of Texas. Played alongside Xavier Worthy, and he can play. He's not as explosive as Xavier Worthy. There aren't very many guys that are. Let's be honest. But he's going to be a really good. He will probably wind up by the time the season's over being their number 2 receiver.
Uh, you think he's going to be above Pierce?
Yeah, I really do.
I don't know. Pierce is one of Richardson's favorite targets, so we'll see.
Yeah, but I think whenever he really sees what Mitchell can do, he's gonna really like this guy. And that's why I say that Colts offense, if they can keep it together and healthy, they could put up a lot of numbers over the next couple of years. And then it's just gonna fall on their defense. Their defense has been shaky at best for the last few years. They don't have Dwight Freeney and Bob Sanders and guys like that roaming around back there anymore. And you can tell. You can definitely tell that if the Colts are going to fall on their face, it's going to be on the defensive side, not the offense.
Well, Rich, we're at 1:40. I don't know if we're having open mic night this week. I have no idea. Obviously, a lot of behind the stage shit went down. Want to say congratulations to Matt, getting the new deal. Matt won't be talking
Absolutely,
Ravens.
man. That's fantastic.
Matt won't be talking Ravens on the channel anymore. He's over at what is that? Be Leaving
Yes. Yeah.
with Daniel Wilcox. Congratulations, Matt. Believe me, you'll be missed. Welcome back whenever. He'll still be talking Orioles though, so he's allowed to talk Orioles.
Yeah.
So Matt still will have a show, I think. But I'm sure he's got a lot going on. But yeah, other than that, I don't know if we're doing open mic night tomorrow or not. I really haven't thought about it. Like we said, Rich, a lot of shit going on behind the scenes this week. So, but you have date night anyway tomorrow, so you wouldn't even be here to begin with.
Yeah, I was gonna say next Tuesday. Let's think positive. Let's plan on open mic night next Tuesday. Get into some hot takes about week 2 of the NFL coming out of it, and week 3 coming up. And
I wanted to hear about your Texas boys beating those Michigan boys. That was exciting. I'm not a Michigan fan, so I was
I
excited.
asked a friend of mine. I asked a friend of mine today. I said, "Okay, I'm having a real hard time believing either Texas is not that good, and Michigan ain't that bad." And he said, "No." I said, "Get out of here." He said, "No." He firmly believes Texas is like, you know, contending to win the SEC. And I'm like, Tom, no. Step away from the alcohol, please. There's no I still don't believe in Quinn Ewers. I may be the only guy on the planet that says this. I'm not a believer in Quinn Ewers. I've said it probably 10 times on our programs across the network. I'm not a believer in Quinn Ewers. I think that when he gets into those really important games, excuse me, got the hiccups all of a sudden. But when he gets into those really important games in the SEC schedule, and they've got to face Georgia. Yes, it's at home. But it's going to be one of those deals. Yeah, they've got that juggernaut UTSA this week, and then Louisiana Monroe the next week. Although Northern Illinois did beat Notre Dame last week, so I'm not saying much there.
They paid a lot of money
But
to lose.
yeah, and you paid to get your butt kicked. That's. I don't know what's worse, getting your butt kicked or getting paid to get your butt, or paying somebody to kick your butt. But they've got OU, they've got Georgia.
28 favorites.
Yeah,
that makes it worse.
Yep. They've got A&M. They've got Arkansas. A&M and Arkansas are on the road. OU, of course, is going to be in the Cotton Bowl. Georgia is at DKR, Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium. Population 108,000. But I still see the Longhorns losing 3 or 4 games. I really do. It's not haterade. It's stating facts. I just don't see it. I just don't. I don't see them being more than maybe shoot 4th in the conference, maybe overall, 3rd, 4th in the conference at best. Do they make the playoff? Maybe, probably. If they lose 3, they'll make the playoffs. How's that?
I can buy that, but we could save this conversation for an open mic night.
Valid.
That's what it's for. Talk about whatever.
Sure.
Well, guys,
I know what we end up doing at some point.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, I try to save it for open mic.
We
Anyway,
always end up all over the place.
anyway, to the viewers out there watching, I thank you. If you can, try and become a member of or subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way, your comments come on. Um, if you want to talk sports, I'm not afraid to send you an invite either. I love having guests show up on the show and just talk. So, we'll bring you on like a
Absolutely.
radio show, but we bring you on the live feed.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
so yeah, if everyone wants to hit the subscribe button, follow me on Twitter at Talking Sports It. Um, you can also find me there. I run a couple of the channels, the Driving to the Top channel as well. You can follow me there and get me there. Yeah, help us out, guys. We're just trying to grow and bring you some sports context. Rich, how people get you, man?
You can get me on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it this week, at Go Big Go Home Pod. On Facebook, it's just my name, Rich Richardson, and love to get into any kind of sports. Follow pretty much everything. I try to keep things updated as much as possible on my Twitter feed, as far as across MLB, NFL, WWE, NHL, NBA, high school, college. If it's really happening, it's coming across my Twitter feed, and love to get a chance to talk with y'all about whatever. Definitely check us out on Driving to the Top Productions open mic night Tuesday night, Wednesday nights. We do our thing, me and Adam, and like, subscribe, uh, be a part of the broadcast. Shoot us comments. Tell it. Hey, if you're, it's called Go Big or Go Home for one reason. Don't be afraid to tell us you guys suck. We want to, you guys' opinion is absolutely horrible, or that you love it. We want to hear both. We love to get the banner going. We love the conversation,
It's kind
and
of like half to say it suck, half to say we don't.
sure, that's what makes it fun. If everybody agreed, it wouldn't be fun.
Right. Oh yeah. 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 Completely agree, Richard. Completely agree. But anyway, Rich, we know you got date night tomorrow, so hopefully you do something fun, even if it's just a.
I have no idea. We figure we usually, honestly, no lies, for our entire time together, which is it'll be 10 years. We'll be married in May. Um, Thursday night's been date night, and we very, very seldom have a pre-planned. This is what we're doing. We usually figure it out about 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. So
That makes it interesting.
it does.
I,
It does.
we need a restaurant called I Don't Care.
I
That way,
promise, man.
whenever the wife or girlfriend says I don't care, we can go there.
I tell my wife all the time when she says that, and you can ask her one of these days if she ever sticks her head in. You can ask her. She says, "Oh, I don't care." I'm like, "No, they closed all the locations of that. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that." And she just looks at me kind of crossways. But yeah, I'm with you 1,000%.
I'm surprised no one. I'm surprised no one did it. But who wants to open a restaurant right now in this crazy world right now? So expensive to order shit.
We did have a restaurant down here. It was over near, well, it's now Fort Cavazos, but it used to be Fort Hood in Killeen. And it was a big sports bar. They called it That Place. Where are you going? Going over to that place. Was there for years till the owner or his wife, one or the other, passed away, and the other one shut the place down because they just couldn't run it anymore. And that place was packed on football days. Good God. College and pro football days, you better get there early if you want to find a seat.
That's crazy. Well, Rich, I thank you for coming on. We'll see you Tuesday open mic. Hopefully we can get that situated. Um,
Yeah, man.
so, but yeah, let's get out of here and we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everyone. Everybody have a good